All right, everybody, welcome in. Ready to dive deep? We got a juicy one today.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so this article about SNL's 2024 election cast, right? It's got everybody talking, like who's playing who this year? Is it going to be as good as last season? You know what I mean?
Yeah, anticipation's definitely high, especially for political satire, right? It's like
Yeah.
everyone's waiting to see who SNL's going to skewer this time around.
It's true, right? Like Monday morning at the water cooler, everyone's talking about the skits, the impressions.
Exactly. It's become this cultural touchstone. SNL's take on politics is always, well, it's always something.
It's always something. Okay, so let's jump right in. First up, Maya Rudolph as Kamala Harris. I mean, come on, that's almost a given at this point, right?
Right. It's like Rudolph's practically become synonymous with Harris for a lot of people.
For real. And she's so good.
She nails it, doesn't she? I think what makes it work is that warmth she brings to the role. It's funny, but there's also this, I don't know, this sense of like genuine affection almost.
Totally. It's not just an impersonation. It's like she captures something deeper about Harris, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, how much does this kind of portrayal actually shape how people perceive these figures? Like, does it humanize them, make them more relatable?
That's a great question, right? Because it's comedy, but it's also influential in a way. Okay, moving on. James Austin Johnson as Trump. Talk about big shoes to fill, huh? Following Alec Baldwin.
Huge shoes. I mean, Baldwin's Trump was, well, it was iconic, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. So how's Johnson going to measure up?
Right. That's the big question. But what's interesting about Johnson is he's not just doing an impression. He's really capturing that Trumpian energy.
That energy. It's like almost manic, but also strangely captivating.
Exactly. It's a tough thing to pull off, but Johnson seems to have a knack for it. And in a way, it's almost a tougher challenge now because we've already seen so many Trump impersonations.
He's got to find a way to stand out, right?
Huh?
Okay, next up, this one's interesting. Jim Gaffigan as Tim Walz.
That's a curveball, right?
Right. Like, how many people even know who Tim Walz is?
Exactly. I mean, he's not exactly a household name, which actually makes it kind of brilliant casting, right? Well, because Gaffigan has this clean-cut, everyman persona, right? So it's like he can introduce Walz to a wider audience, but through his own comedic lens. It'll be interesting to see what Gaffigan zeroes in on.
Right. Like, what aspect of Walz is he going to highlight? This is going to be fascinating.
Okay, up next, Bowen as J.D. Vance. Where do we even begin with this one?
Right. Talk about a figure ripe for satire. Vance is, well, he's kind of a walking contradiction at times, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that whole, like, populist intellectual thing going on, but then there's
The
also...
whole political chameleon thing, right?
Exactly. So how do you satirize someone who's already kind of satirizing themselves?
That's the challenge. But if
Yeah.
anyone can walk that line, it's Bowen. He's got this amazing ability to be both biting and insightful at the same time. Yeah, like he can make you laugh, but he also makes you think. Okay, next up, get ready for this. Dana Carvey, back at it again as Joe Biden. Talk about a blast from the past.
Right. It's like you can't talk about SNL political impersonations without mentioning Carvey's George H.W. Bush.
Legendary. I still do the impression, wouldn't be prudent.
Exactly. So to see him take on Biden, it's going to be epic. Carvey's a master of those subtle mannerisms, those little vocal tics.
Oh, he's going to nail the Biden whisper, I guarantee it. All right, last but not least, we've got the hilarious Andy Samberg as, wait for it, Doug Emhoff.
Doug Emhoff coming to a screen near you.
Right. Like, when else has the second gentleman gotten this kind of attention?
Never. But that's what's so great about SNL. They're always shining a light on the unexpected.
So true. What do you think Samberg's going to do with the role?
Oh, who knows? That's what's so fun about him. He could go totally goofy. He could play it surprisingly sincere. We'll just have to wait and see.
The suspense is killing me. Okay, now, I gotta ask. The article mentions some other potential impersonations. Melania, RFK Jr., even the Emhoff kids.
Right. Like the possibilities are endless.
So, any predictions? Who would you cast?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, how do you even begin to satirize figures who are already so out there?
Like they're living in an SNL skit already.
Exactly. I guess that's the challenge, right? To find that new angle, that unexpected take that makes us see these figures in a whole new light.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right? It's not just about the laughs, those are important. It's about how SNL reflects our culture, our anxieties, our well, our whole relationship with politics, right?
Absolutely. These portrayals, even when they're exaggerated, they spark conversations. They make us think about these figures and these issues in new ways.
They make us think. It's like sometimes laughter is the best way to process serious stuff, you know?
100%. It's a pressure valve, a coping mechanism, a way to engage with the absurdity of it all.
And speaking of absurdity, do you ever wonder, like, does SNL's brand of humor, you know, those sharp jokes, those over-the-top impressions, does it actually influence how we view politics in the real world?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Does it make us more cynical? Or does it help us to see the humor in what can often feel like a very unfunny system?
Ooh, that's deep. Something to ponder, right? Well, folks, there you have it, our deep dive into SNL's 2024 election cast.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Buckle up. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.